Oh, hi. I thought there was an intro. Really? Thanks, guys, for the warning. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Sideshow Live. There is an intro that was supposed to happen, and it didn't. Wow, welcome to the show. You guys, we have an excellent show happening today in spite of the fact that no one played the intro, but whatever. We have the QMX Nun 6-scale figure coming in. We have the Poxxil Premium Format Figure. We have the, okay, let me make sure I get this right because I love the title of this print. The Thanos Imperative Ignition print that we're going to be talking about. And plus we have special guest Dave Kellett, cartoonist, in-house. We're going to be doing an interview with him and then a live Q&A, you guys. Woo! It's super exciting. I love this so much. You guys, what a great show. We have so much to do, so much time. Well, not a whole lot of time, you know, like the normal amount of time. But you guys, let's just get right to it. So first up, we have our featured collector, Sarah Weinstein. Sarah, let's take a look at, ooh, wow, gorgeous collection, Sarah, and well-rounded. Look at that. Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and Terminator, my kind of gal right there. Oh my gosh, look at those art prints in the background as well. Sarah, that's so spectacular. You guys, if you want to be the next featured collector, you just need to head on over to side.show/blog, click the Apply Now button. We will feature you here on the live show as well as in our blog. It is so much fun, and we love looking at all your collections. So cool, right? Really cool. So we have, what, like 4 segments today? 5 if you count the live Q&A with Dave. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk to Dave because I was looking through his books and his sense of humor is like on point. So if you guys don't know, Dave Kellett is going to be here for his special segment a little bit later. But first up, let's go to a short video break and come back with the QMX Nun 6-scale figure from the movie The Nun. That movie was super creepy. You guys are watching Sideshow Live. We'll be right back.
I mean, Batman has countless gadgets to stop any number of his dangerous foes, but Batman the movie let us know that Batman has a contingency plan for the dangerous life of the sea. Mm-hmm. So a shark bit him in a helicopter scene chase where he is hanging from the rope on the Batcopter, and he says, "Quick, Robin, toss me my shark repellent." And then I love watching Burt Ward just slowly take his time climbing down the ladder, and he even like does a little back bend and hands Adam West the shark repellent. But one of the better parts of that scene is that next to the shark repellent, there's barracuda, whale, and manta ray repellents as well. So I just want to know what kind of trouble Batman's been getting up to in the ocean.
I mean, he is like the world's greatest detective, so he's probably just preparing, right?
That's true, but I mean, he didn't have like seahorse repellent or anything.
Well, why would you be afraid of seahorses? Like, they're not going to attack, because dolphins will attack him.
That's true.
Yeah.
And barracudas.
So would barracudas, and so would whales. And, well, maybe not whales, but like mantas would. Anyway, yeah, just saying.
True. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Sideshow Live. You guys, oh my gosh. First off, I'm like a little bit afraid to touch it because I know about how possession works. And when you touch the possessed object, it can transfer to you. And I did see the Nun movie, and this is really creepy. By the way, thank you guys so much for our friends over at Quantum Mechanics, aka QMX. This is a brand new collectible from the hit film The Nun. This is going to be available exclusively through us here at Sideshow, side.show/QMXNun. She is not available yet, but head on over to that short link where we can where you can RSVP to be notified. First available time she goes available for pre-order, that's when you guys, you'll be notified. And with the RSVP program, you can choose how you want to be notified. So if you want email, if you want a text message, however you want to be notified, that's how we will tell you, hey, the Nun's available for pre-order. This is super creepy. I know you guys just got a really good look, but the costuming on The Nun is fantastic. Oh my God. Do I have to touch? I'll touch the base. There you go. You guys, I'm sorry, but the Nun is a demon if you've seen the movie, and then I don't want to touch it and then be possessed. That's how this works. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. Thank you for understanding that joke. Thank you, Michael Scott. Anyway, so again, this QMX Nun is going to be available exclusively through Sideshow Collectibles, side.show/QMXNun. We will be carrying the 6-scale figure, and sign up on the RSVP page to be first to be notified when she goes available for pre-order. This is a very early prototype, so that's why it's the only one here and the only one we can show you. Therefore, it's more likely that it is possessed than the one that you guys are going to be pre-ordering. This movie is so cool. It's part of the Conjuring universe, expanded universe. Like, she made her debut, at the end of Conjuring 2, I think? And then The Nun spun off.
The name of the demon was throughout
Right.
Conjuring.
Right. The name of the demon was definitely in Conjuring 2, but I feel like the nun does have a cameo at the end. Oh my God, that close-up. Wow. You guys, the details on this are a little much for me. I love horror, but I definitely am squeamish about it, so I know, right? I'm a little squeamish about it. These movies are really, really creepy, especially because, the Warrens existed. And a lot of these cases that they deal with in the Conjuring universe are cases that the Warrens actually dealt with while they were doing all this. So anyway, if you want to pick yours up, or excuse me, she's not available for pre-order just yet, but RSVP at side.show/QMXNone. We're going to stay with the creep vibe, right? Court of the Dead is coming up next. We have Poxxil, the Scourge Premium Format Figure heading your way. You're watching Sideshow Live. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Sideshow Live. We are here with Poxxil. I'm so excited to show you guys Poxxil. Actually, Poxxil, if you guys follow our Court of the Dead channels, you know that Poxxil was actually on their live show last week because the court featured him first. They got to see a little bit behind the scenes of what it's like to make a court figure. Now, Poxxil is the Scourge, and he is, am I pronouncing that right? The Scourge? No, it's Poxxil, the Scourge, okay. I'm always curious with court names because sometimes I don't have the best pronunciation of them. Now this is a premium format figure, so he is mixed media. I can't even get into how cool the details on him are. Like, check out this staff. It has like a feather at the top, and that, I thought it was a real feather, not gonna lie. Even though it makes no physical sense for a feather to hold up like this unless it was still boned. However, all these little pieces are just so cool and so detailed and so exactly what you would expect from a Court of the Dead premium format figure. You can see his costuming. He has some on his back, and then he has a little hood. Now, Poxxil is part of the Flesh faction, and he's the latest addition to the Flesh faction premium format figure line. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Court of the Dead is kind of the anti-hero story where Death has decided that he wants to step in and save humanity in the war against heaven and hell. So heaven and hell are warring for humanity's souls, and Death has decided to recruit souls into the court, which has no allegiance except that of their own. So what? Oh, I was looking at the wrong camera. Sorry. Side.show/Poxxil is where you're going to pick him up. So the Flesh faction so there's three. You guys, I'm like now off my game. Anyway, so it's divided into 3 factions: spirit, flesh, and bone. Now, you can take the quiz, figure out which faction you're in. Spirit, what up, represent. But Poxxil right here is flesh faction, and flesh is kind of ever changing. So it's the evolution. They are very adaptable to whatever is thrown their way throughout this war. And Poxxil is no different. I can't even get into, like, look at the details right here. Like, there's a spoon, and there's all these little pouches and all these little potions and all these different things that go with Poxxil right here. These details are what make these Court of the Dead figures so just stand out among everything else. They're beautiful. Anyway, so Poxxil goes up for pre-order tomorrow. That is Thursday, January 17th, sometime between noon and 3 p.m. Pacific time. If you would like to be notified when he goes available, side.show/Poxxil and then RSVP for him. That's the best way to go, I would say. He's really cool. I like him, and I definitely I don't want to do it because this is a prototype, but he does have a really cool face when you take off the mask, because obviously you can see that he's wearing a mask, but he does have a face underneath that if we took it off, you could see it right there. And
next to it, which is this other mask that you can switch out.
Yeah, and so this is the exclusive right here, which is an alternate mask that you can switch out. Crazy. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's kind of intense, not gonna lie. A little bit intense right there, Poxxil. You are a really cool piece. I hope you guys have all enjoyed Poxxil. When we come back, we will be showing you Thanos, the Thanos Imperative Ignition art print. You're watching Sideshow Live. We'll be right back.
So I did a series of one-shot books for DC between 1998 and 2003 that would focus primarily, for the first 4 of them that I did were all focused upon their most iconic characters, and characters that had this weight of what was then 60 years that had passed for them. And I was doing a new book to tie into each of their 60th anniversaries. So the first one, the superhero that started it all for them, and everybody else pretty much, was Superman. This cover was meant to be boldly impactful on the stands, not just because I had talked DC into letting me do an oversized format, which back when I was a kid, they did a lot of these comics in the 70s that were mostly reprint, a few originals that would reprint a lot of old stuff in large dollar-sized comics, and that means that your comic can have this bigger impact when you see it on the stands. And so the choice to make a big headshot was the thought that, like, okay, it's like the same size as the character's head. What you're seeing there is almost your eye to eye with that person, and I'm taking advantage of the larger format to make it that much more impactful for you. The headshot for Superman is meant to be reflective of a couple of inspirations. One of them is the original cover for Superman #1 from 1939. And in that cover, he's got this sort of flying pose where he's looking down in this way, and his head is sort of looking down at mankind. So it's not that simple kind of standard superhero shot where the head's up and turned to the side heroically. It's the thought that, in a way, when you're just closing in on this, is a sense of humility for the figure. And the lighting that I did for it was actually meant to be somewhat reflective of the cover, what I intellectualized about the cover for Action Comics #1, where as he's lifting this car to throw down, his head is tilted downward, and I was imagining with the lighting being a little bit cooler and not necessarily, this intense bright lighting on him, but in effect light coming from below, as if it's the city below him lighting him. And there's a lot of emotions I'm trying to connect with the reader about the way I want you to feel about my version of Superman. This is my first version of doing a version of Superman after the older Superman that I did in Kingdom Come. And I wanted to keep a lot of that sensibility alive while making it grounded in the here and now of, like, this is the eternal Superman. This is the classic that will always be. It's this head. You can almost refine the icon down to this alone.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Sideshow Live. I hope you enjoyed that nice little video from Alex Ross. Thank you guys for sharing that with us over at Alex Ross Art. This is the Thanos Imperative Ignition art print. Oh my gosh. Like, how cool is this print? Don't you want it looming over your Thanos collection? You could have the Avengers all underneath with this Thanos looming over it. Just how cool would that be? I love the composition of this piece and how it really shows the power of Thanos and what a threat he is to the entire Marvel universe. You can really understand the power of Thanos and kind of like how he thinks in a weird way. Like Thanos thinks he's the good guy, and that's kind of what makes him so dangerous in a lot of ways. If the bad guy thinks what he's doing is right, that's much, much worse than if the bad guy kind of knows he's like being awful. Anyway, so this is done by artist Aleksi Briclot, and Aleksi is an award-winning French fantasy illustrator, best known for his contributions to the Magic the Gathering card game series. He also has done cover art for Marvel Comics, including the Thanos Imperative, Annihilation Conquest, New Avengers, War of the Kings, and The Incredible Hulk. More recently, he has contributed his designs to Marvel Studios' Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. So quite the resume there, Aleksi. Thank you so much for having us like add your artwork to our print program. It's amazing. So details on this print. This is an officially licensed Marvel print. It has a limited edition of only 250, so that is a low edition size. It is an 18 by 24 fine art giclée print. It has an authorized automated pencil signature on the bottom that you can see it's right there. It's really cool. I like the signature on it. I love signatures. The signatures look so cool. Anyway, and it also comes with an embossed seal of authenticity. You can kind of see it. It's cool. Just get the print and then you can see it for yourself, right? It is available now at side.show/Thanos Imperative. That's side.show/Thanos Imperative. It is available framed currently only. And then on Friday, that's the 18th, it will go up for sale unframed if there are any left. And this is a really, really cool print. Like I said, just picture all of your Avengers. Like for me, I think of the Avengers Assemble line that we have, like the Avengers Assemble line all underneath it with the Thanos Imperative print above it, just kind of like looming over like this threat that the Avengers have to face. Just think about it. Just think about it. And then snap. Let's see who survived. We have Dave Kellett coming up next, cartoonist extraordinaire. I can't wait to talk to him. And be sure to ask a lot of awesome questions because Dave is a really, really super interesting person. So you guys are watching Sideshow Live. We will be right back with Dave Kellett. everyone, and welcome back to the show that we're doing called Sideshow Live. This is cartoonist Dave Kellett. Hello, Dave. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited to have you. Oh my god.
And to be able to follow Thanos, that's a good thing.
I'm impressed that you survived. Like half the people.
I made the snap.
disappeared.
That's fantastic. I'm really excited.
Yeah,
So
there's a hashtag that goes around.
hashtag I'm not dead. So that's good.
Oh, that's the hashtag. Okay, there we go. Oh my gosh. So Dave, for those of you who don't know, Dave is a cartoonist and webcomic behind Sheldon and Drive. Yep. He is the co-producer and director of the documentary film Stripped.
Yeah.
He is a co-host of the podcast Comic Lab, and before that, you designed for Mattel. So that's a crazy, awesome career.
Yeah, I've been very lucky. I'm very happy with how things have netted out. So that's good.
Really cool. So Sheldon was one of the first ever webcomics, and it appeared in the late 90s when the internet was kind of just a baby.
When it was weird browsers that we don't even talk about anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Before the days of social media.
Yeah, I first went online in 1998.
Wow.
And but it took me about a decade to figure out how to make a living online. And so I was able to quit my day job at Mattel Toys in 2007.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so it's been a fun run since then, 11, 12 years now.
Wow, but tell us a little bit about Sheldon. Like, what was it like doing a daily comic strip before it could be so easily shared on social media?
That's true. So the fun thing is, back in the original days of the internet, it was all about word of mouth, frankly. You know, you would have these web rings, you would have people emailing one another like, hey, check this out. And Sheldon's sort of an all-ages kind of newspaper style comic strip. It's kind of in the vein of Calvin and Hobbes, but far nerdier, far geekier. So probably a good wheelhouse for everyone watching today. But Sheldon was a delight. It's all ages strip, and then as things built along, it provided me enough of a jump that I could leave my day job designing toys and just do comic strips.
How did you even balance that? Like a full-time job with Mattel?
Not sleeping. That turns out that is the way to do it. Is like just don't sleep.
Just don't sleep. Yeah. Cool.
So, fun pro tip: go prematurely gray by not sleeping.
Wow. So, do you prefer the gag-a-day type comics, or do you like following a storyline from beginning to end?
Well, Sheldon's gag-a-day and has been running now. God, I don't even know what the math is on that, but for decades.
That's at least.
Don't ask a liberal arts major what the math is. I don't.
I was gonna say That's at least 20. That's 21 years. Sheldon can drink.
Yeah, it's 20. Yeah, he can
Sheldon
drink now.
Can drink now.
He can drink. Yeah, he's been drafted. But I also do a long form storyline called Drive, which we'll talk about in a second. So yeah, so the two of them back and forth are a nice mix. So Sheldon gives me the ability to do jokes, gag-a-day, fun commentary on pop culture, on geek stuff, on family stuff, and then Drive has a much more long form storyline, which is kind of the seriousness and the scope of a Dune story, but populated by really goofy Hitchhiker's Guide kind of characters. So it's a nice mix of serious and goofy. Yeah.
I love your style. Like honestly, your art style is like really, really awesome.
My mom will be very happy to hear that. Thank you.
Your mom. So, does your mom?
No, in the way that moms do. Mom's always like, anytime their kid's like, oh, someone complimented my baby. That's great. I did okay as a mom.
Yeah, I'm a good mom. So can you tell us a little bit about Drive? What's the story about?
Yeah, no, so it takes place in the 24th century, and it's the Second Spanish Empire. So that Spain has once again conquered the globe and conquered a good part of the galaxy. Oh my gosh. And it's just sort of a fun thematic about how everyone thinks that their empire is going to last forever. The Romans thought they were going to last forever. The British thought they were going to last forever. And so what's fun is the sort of circular nature of history, and Spain reconquers the world and a part of the galaxy using technology from a crashed alien ship. And as it turns out, the aliens from which that technology originated, technology has almost a religious value, and so it becomes this massive galactic war between different parties. And there's a lot of fun aliens thrown in on the human side and on the other side, and it's I know it sounds like a serious story, and it is, but it's populated by goofy, almost Muppet-like characters. So
I was going to say, there's a lot of comedic value to this as well.
Yeah,
so
it's fun to cut the seriousness of the story with a joke. So it's really, especially for a story that updates page by page online and then gets collected in the book form, it's fun to have humor carry it along.
Absolutely, because you have to have something that keeps everybody coming back.
Yeah.
Everybody coming back.
Absolutely, yeah.
So do you have people that have been reading your comics ever since?
Oh yeah. It's got a super dedicated fan base, and this is Act 1 collection, the hardcover. But next week, the Act 2 hardcover collection comes out, and we kickstarted that. It had a huge success, and so I'm super pumped to have that out in the world.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's
That's
been really fun.
really
It's
cool.
been really fun.
So is that how people can get these?
Yeah, so it'll be available on my site at drivecomic.com in a week or so, and but yeah, it'll be available on Amazon and all sorts of places. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's
it's really fun.
So fun. Okay, so we talked about your comics.
Yeah.
Now you moved into doing a documentary called Stripped. Can you tell us about Stripped and what made you want to move into like doing comics to talking about doing comics? And
absolutely. So I, going back a bit, I have 2 master's degrees in the history and relevance of comics. One on World War II comics, one on 18th century comics. And so the documentary,
that's awesome.
Yeah, the documentary was
what a cool thing to have master's degrees in.
And totally useless. Like,
but
it qualifies me to flip burgers. Yeah,
not to us. Or it qualifies you to be right here, right now.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
The journey was fine because I ended up being a cartoonist with it. But so I've always had this kind of academic and historical interest in comics. And so my dear friend Fred Schroeder and I put together a documentary. It took us about 4 years, a 2-hour, hour and a half documentary called Stripped, and we interviewed all the best cartoonists.
I have a list here, by the way,
sure.
while they're showing some stuff from Stripped. So Jim Davis.
Yep.
Who
of Garfield.
Of Garfield. I was going to say, do we even need to say what these people did? Greg Evans from Luann. Jeff Keane, Family Circus.
Yep.
Lynn Johnston, For Better For Worse.
Yeah.
The actual Kathy from Kathy.
Who is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, she's
legit rad.
Is she legit Kathy?
And she's so fun.
She's
really fun.
I love Kathy because I was always like, when I would read Kathy, I would just be like, I feel like I get her.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And she just like holds up, like test of time. Like you can read Kathy.
And as a person, she just rolls with any. She's so funny in person.
Oh my God,
so
that's
you'll love her in the documentary. Yeah. And then also the film has the first ever recorded interview with Bill Watterson.
I was just gonna get to it, like
Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh my God! Wow, and he is even on the film's poster that you guys just saw.
Yeah, so he loved the final cut of the film so much that I said, "Well, Bill, it's been 19 years or whatever since you've drawn a comic. Would you do the poster for the film?" And he said, "Yeah." And I, honest to God, as a cartoonist, there's probably no more moving thing that I'll ever have than him saying, "Yes, I would love to do the poster." And then physically getting the mailed original art in the mail that he mailed like super unprotected, just in a brown. And I'm like, Bill, what are you doing?
Serious?
This piece of art could pay for my kid's college. Don't mail it like this. What are you doing?
Do you still have it?
No, I gave it back. I couldn't keep it. I don't know. As a cartoonist myself, unless it was explicitly said keep it, I couldn't in good conscience keep it. So I mailed it back.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Did you mail it back protected?
I said, I'm going to send it to your archives, which are at Ohio State. And he said, that's great. And so
that's so amazing.
the generosity was already overwhelming, so I couldn't keep it. As much as I wanted to.
I understand. As a collector, I'm like, oh, you didn't keep it.
But I did take a 1200 DPI scan of it, so I have like a note perfect scan print of that thing. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So what was it like to work with him?
Very nice. It's one of the things that was really heartwarming about making the documentary is all these cartoonists that I grew up with, these being my heroes. They are, to a T, lovely people to talk to. Really fun, really kind, really warm. And you walk into their space, and we traveled all over North America to interview them in their studio. And it was super warm, super welcoming, and I learned a ton as a cartoonist. It was one of the best experiences of my life. I loved it.
So they lie when they say don't meet your heroes.
Yes, there was only 1 or 2 where I was like, I wish I wouldn't have met that hero, but 98% of them were delightful.
And 98%, that's a huge...
Yeah, it was a big win. It was a big win. It was a big win.
Okay, so you went home, you went to the home of Garfield to interview Jim Davis.
Which is amazing.
Tell us about that.
So you're driving through Indiana, and you're going through kind of a wheat or a soy field, and you think like your GPS has sent you the wrong way. You're like, there's no way that Garfield is out in the middle of this soy field. And you crest a little hill, and all of a sudden it's like, the sun comes out, and there's 3 gigantic buildings, and 65, 70 people working on Garfield, and you pull in, and they're like, here's your espresso, and you're like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. How is this where Garfield lives? And Jim was awesome. And when we went to start his interview, he's like, hold on a second. And he hits a little remote and a fireplace starts up. And I was like, this is classy. This is the nice way to do it.
Wow.
This is a good way to conduct an interview. I mean, you've already got a fireplace yourself.
We do have a fireplace.
You do.
So
And
Okay.
you can just lie and say you had a remote for it, and just went boop. And
Don't we have a remote? We do.
You do have a remote for it, so
we
there you
do.
go. It's already
I
classy.
don't have the remote because I'm not responsible.
So
like,
you are operating at Jim Davis levels, which is great.
That's gonna
That's
go.
that's classy.
That's
you guys
our,
are.
we're
you
gonna
guys
take
are,
that
you gu-
quote.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're,
our
oper-
tagline.
we're at Jim level.
Oh my gosh. Are there cats there?
There were not. There's a lot of orange though. There is like a sea of orange. It's an unbelievably. Oh, and he walked me into the merch room. He's like, "Let me show you some of the Garfield merch from around the world." And you walk in, and it's like, do you remember your high school gym? Just that size room of just Garfield. And it's like, Funyuns from Hungary with Garfield on them. And you're like, wow, Hungarian Funyuns with Garfield. Did not know that would be a viable product, but all right.
Okay.
But that just paid for the 9th car, so that's great.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
But he was super warm and welcoming and lovely, and he kept pushing back his interview time. He's like, cancel my 12:30, cancel my 1:30, and just kept talking. And it was really lovely.
That's so
he was a really
amazing.
warm guy. He was really lovely.
So, okay. So how did these notable cartoonists handle it when you mentioned that your film was about showing how cartoons have evolved from newspapers to webcomics?
And the big theme of it is the sort of death of traditional newspaper comics and the rise of the internet. Well, the good news is that it's not like I had to explain to them that was happening.
Right.
Everybody is intimately aware of the death of print and the rise of digital. And so they were all really willing to talk about it, both from a sadness standpoint of like we're losing something, but also from a happiness standpoint of we are gaining a more independent, a wider variety of voices. Newspapers often would funnel down to the most, I was going to say geriatric, but the most generic, that is also geriatric, the most generic voice you could of like, Lonely Island, castaway stuck on, you'd see that joke again and again, or a golfing joke.
Yeah.
Whereas now online you can get every type of comic, every type of cartoonist, every type of voice talking to their own unique publics and communities, and it's really kind of amazing.
And a lot of them are having a new life, because I immediately thought of Jim Davis has all these Garfield comic strips that he's done for years and years and years, and then Garfield Without Garfield happened online.
And he was super cool with it and down with it and let it happen. It was
I know,
great.
and it was crazy to see that he actually supported that happening, because it was like, how would an artist feel about their work being altered? But he thought it was funny.
And the amazing thing about working digitally is that I have no intermediaries. There's no editor, there's no publisher.
Right.
So I can talk directly to my fans. And so it's just myself and my assistant in the studio, and we can run a whole business without any other editorial staff. And
That's
it's
crazy.
Kind of amazing. It's a great way to conduct an art life.
And this is actually a good segue into Pugs Unleashed.
Oh yeah.
Because Pug was like a side character who then became so popular with your audience that now you have a whole book that's Pugs Unleashed.
So our family got a pug named Payaso, which means clown in Spanish, and he was a little doofus and delightful. And so I could not introduce a pug character into the comic strip, and people really reacted well to that pug character.
Pugs on the internet.
And then I end up with who knew that I was going to end up with a 300-page book about pugs, but there you go. And now it's super popular and people love it, which is great.
That's awesome. And they can also pick up, if you are a fan of Pugs, which, by the way, this is hilarious, just like in general. Sorry,
yeah, so if you have somebody that's, honestly, the thing like at Comic-Con, I will see people pick up like 5 of these and be like, I know 5 pug owners. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to fight you on that. That's great. Go ahead and grab 5.
I know. We have pug owners here in the office that I'm sure are going to freak out over that. And then we also have people who quote like ugly dogs and like the smush face.
The smush face, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I get a lot of crossover with that. Like, can you do, there's like 9 versions of smush face.
Oh, yeah, totally.
They want guest appearances of other dogs.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that would be awesome.
And that one, if people want it, is at sheldonstore.com.
Sheldonstore.com, you guys. So speaking of webcomics, a lot of people who are big names in webcomics were also part of your documentary, including, again, this list is crazy. Mike and Jerry from Penny Arcade, Scott Kurtz from PvP, Matt Inman from The Oatmeal, just Danielle Corsetto, David Malky, Ryan North. Jeez, oh my gosh, wow.
He's delightful.
Oh my gosh,
He's delightful.
Chris Straub, Kate Beaton, oh my God, Kate Beaton.
She's amazing.
Her sense of humor is so funny.
She's also the warmest, nicest person in person, so it's great.
And so what was it like to interview them versus interviewing a traditional newspaper cartoonist?
Well, the sort of delightful thing, and you probably get this talking to artists of all different stripes, is that there's kind of a shared joy of just being an artist. So whether they're 75 or 25, there's they all have a shared love of comics, and so that was kind of this amazing natural language that they all spoke together. And so a lot of their concerns and joys were the same, which was fun. It's fun to see that we're kind of the same person at 75 as we were when we were 25. You know?
That's so good to hear.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a little reassuring that
that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah,
somehow.
exactly.
And like, were they starstruck by the other people that you got to interview? Like, oh my God, I like Kate, because I imagine Kate has to revere like Kathy in some way because they're doing like generational of the same type of thing, but not exactly, you know?
Yeah, but well, everyone to it, they were all kind of starstruck, but everyone to a T was super amazed when Bill Watterson did the recording for they were like, I'm sorry, what? Who did you get? You got Bill Watterson? Because he's a delightful but famous recluse.
Yeah,
and,
totally.
And so the fact that he was willing to talk about comics was amazing.
Oh man, Bill Watterson. Man, I bet you could do like a whole interview just on talking
I'd love
about
to.
him.
I want to pitch that to him. That like we don't even have to. We'll just record it. We don't even have to release it. Just so that it exists for posterity.
Yeah. So forever.
For just a full length, hour and a half interview.
And maybe just put it in his archive.
That's what I'm thinking.
So that way,
so that it exists for.
Yeah.
Because having done grad degrees in comics, just as a historian, you want that to exist.
Right.
In their own words, and so I think that'd be amazing to do.
Yeah. I think that should happen. So. You've done cartoons, you've done documentaries on cartoons, and now you have a podcast also called Comic Lab that is also about cartoons, featuring fellow cartoonist Brad, and I'm so...
That's right. I will love it if you mangle it, because I'm going to joke with him for another hour.
Oh, please.
It's Geiger. That's
Geiger.
Right.
Okay, I was going to say, please.
My joke with him is that it always sounds like Guiger. It should be Guiger or Guiger, but it's Geiger. Yeah.
I'm also known on this show for like fantastic.
That is okay.
Names,
that's totally fine. No, Brad Geiger and I, and the show is about the basic idea of it is it's a comic podcast about making comics and making a living from comics. So it's us trying to pay forward everything we've learned for a decade or 20 years working online to the next generation of cartoonists. So we can maybe make it a little bit easier for them. That's the basic idea.
Oh, that's awesome. And where can they find that?
That's it. On any podcast app that you look for, you can just search for Comic Lab.
Comic Lab.
The iTunes links are always impossibly long to try to share.
They are.
But you can also look for it at patreon.com/comiclab. It's Patreon supported. So.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. And or just search it on iTunes, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if you don't mind sticking around, we're going to take Q&A from the audience
after
this really short break. Awesome. So you guys ask questions. Buffy's in the chat, so be sure to put a lot of questions in there. I see that some have come through already, so that's really awesome. But we have a short break, and when we come back, we will have our live Q&A with Dave Kellett. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
You guys are watching Sideshow Live. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, welcome back to Sideshow Live. Sorry, I'm laughing because you guys apparently all told Buffy to steal our books.
Just the slow reach of the hand. That would be great.
Awesome. Well, we are back here with cartoonist Dave Kellett. Thank you so much for sticking around.
Absolutely, yeah.
We actually have a lot of questions coming in, but one of the more popular ones is when our audience buys these books, they want you to sign them. So how do they get them signed?
First of all, I respect that this audience wants them signed. So good work on that one. I tell you what, if in this week for the next 7 days, how about I will sign every book bought at sheldonstore.com for folks.
Wow.
So that's big. That's going to take me some time. So jump on that one. That would be great.
Sheldonstore.com.
Sheldonstore.com, and that's we have my other one too, which is Anatomy Animals. You love this one.
Oh my God, I love this one so much. This one is exactly my sense of humor.
This one, if you're an animal lover, and it's kind of, the idea is basically like high school anatomy books, but we just make fun of the personalities of different animals. So like
Anatomy of a Pug.
Oh, we also have the anatomy of pugs. I could not do a pug in that one.
Of course.
But it's like, what is a crocodile's personality? What is a giraffe's personality? What is a rhino's personality?
I'm in the middle.
And so it's like, how do they do on Tinder? What do they do in their video gaming? All that sort of stuff.
A croissant is a very important part of the corgi. My personal favorite, full loaf of bread and a garlic knot. A corgi is made of baked goods.
That one is made of baked goods, yeah.
That makes total sense to me. The other one is, I'm really excited about Star Trek Discovery, and so I rewatched season 1, and you have in here, oh my gosh, the little...
There's many a Star Trek joke, yeah.
Yeah, the tardigrade
Oh, yeah.
shouldn't exist. That's my
Should
favorite.
not exist.
Should not
Nature,
exist.
I don't know what was going on when the tardigrade was made. It should not exist.
It's for reading spores throughout the galaxy. Duh. Watch Star Trek, guys. Anyway.
I like the dressing down. Listen, dummy. There's a reason why they exist.
They exist for fiction.
Don't be daft. Come on now.
They exist for fictional time travel. Come on.
Yeah, so any of these that you'd like to get signed for at sheldonstore.com this week, I will happily sign those this week. So that's
amazing,
my
you
pledge
guys.
to you guys.
Thank you so much, Dave. That's an
Rad. I'm happy
awesome
to do
gift
it,
to our
yeah.
audience. Okay, so Frederick wants to know, on that note, is Dave going to be at any conventions this year for us to meet him?
Yes, I'm at. I've had a couple years where I kind of toned it down because I was working on the film and then working on other things, and now I'm going to be doing San Diego Comic-Con, Emerald City Comic-Con in Seattle, WonderCon in Anaheim, the new NCS Fest in Huntington Beach, and then I'm going to be going, of all places, Juneau, Alaska this year. I haven't been to Juneau in 25 years.
Oh my gosh.
And going up for a small but delightful Comics Con up there. Comics Con? Who says it like that?
It's
What?
fine. It's
Comics
Comics
Con?
Con.
Sure.
Wow.
Comic Con up there. So that's my list. But nothing on the East Coast this year, and nothing in Europe this year.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh, sorry guys, if you're on the East Coast or Europe, or come out here and visit and say hi to
Right.
Dave. Yeah.
Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah,
go
but
to
Alaska, I'm coming for you.
But Alaska's beautiful. I don't blame you for wanting to go
It's going to be
up
me,
there.
and I'm signing for a moose. Yeah, here you go.
Yep,
There's
you go.
something for you.
Moose,
Well, something for
moose,
you. Yeah.
And then
there
he
you
puts
go.
a hoof print. Yeah. Mr. Kellett, what online comic do you follow the most currently?
Oh wow, that's a great question. So I love book collections of webcomics, but when I'm really wanting to dive in, I still love Perry Bible Fellowship. I love Matt Inman's The Oatmeal. I love Kate Beaton, even though she's not producing that particular one anymore. I love Saturday Morning Breakfast Cereal. I love Ryan North's. I love Evil Inc. I love. Unfortunately, there's a list of like 50. The best advice I can give you is to go to flean.com, which is a webcomics review. There's a huge list on the right of that website. Honest to God, and Gary has curated an amazing list on that website. So flean.com.
My current one that I'm following is Katana Comics.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh my gosh, it's a couple and they do it together, and it's about like them being a couple.
Oh, rad.
So it's really, really cute. So it's the two of them like moving in together and like what that's like, and like
delightful.
how she comes home from work and she's like on the couch and he's on the couch asleep. So instead of like waking him up, she just like cuddles in with him. Like it's a really cute little couples comic.
That's what I mean about like the web allows for smaller stories or more unique and personal stories than traditional print does, and so that's the thing. Where as a cartoonist, I get really excited about the the broader scope of comics right now. So
that's awesome. What was that website again where they could see?
FLEEN.com. Flean.com. Huge, really well curated list of frankly all the best webcomics out there.
Oh my gosh, amazing! I'm gonna go check that out.
Yeah. It's really good reading.
Ian would like to know, what did you design for Mattel when you were there?
Oh man, what didn't I work on? So I was there for about 8 years, and at first I was a copywriter, which is a really fun way to jump into toys. So I would name everything. Mattel has one of the biggest lists of trademarks in the U.S. It's something like 4,000 trademarks.
I believe it.
And it's all everything from like Little Boopsie from 1952 to Barbie and all that sort of stuff. So I was a copywriter and I wrote background stories. I started on girls' toys, so it was Cabbage Patch, Barbie, Polly Pocket. Did Hot Wheels for a little while, did He-Man for a little while, did Barbie for a little while, and then I made the switch over to toy design, working with a group called Project Platypus, where Mattel would grab a lawyer, a copywriter, a hairstylist, a painter, a fashion designer, and stick them in a room for 3 months and say, design. Like, do whatever you want for 3 months, here's a budget of, and make whatever toy you want. And they found out that I was really good at designing toys, so then I started working on some digital toys,
Oh my
some
gosh.
mixed media digital and hard plastic toys, and had about 2 years before that, and then the comics started to take off, and then
my
I
gosh.
skedaddled out to the world of webcomics. Yeah.
Wow. That's a wow.
Honestly,
I was like, I didn't even have
had
a
comics
follow-up.
not
That's
been
so
my
good.
dream, I would have stayed at Mattel for another 40 years. I loved designing toys. I mean, like I'm a kid in a candy store walking in these halls.
Yeah, and you
guys
haven't even
do
done the full
beautiful,
tour.
amazing, world-renowned work, and so it's so fun to see.
Oh my
this.
gosh. So then that's a really good segue into Anne Marie wants to know, does Dave collect figures or statues or art prints?
I collect originals, and you know what I should have done? I should have brought a photo of my studio, because my studio at home has probably 100 pieces of original art framed around it. Wow. And the oldest one that I have is a Hogarth from 1747. And I actually have two Hogarths, but the oldest one and the better conditioned one is from 1747. Wow. And then I've got a lot of World War I, World War II age comics. I have a Bringing Up Father from 1929 that I love. It's beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm a huge collector of original art. We all have our thing that we geek out for, and for me, it's comic original art.
I completely understand why you and Dennis are like kindred spirits.
So that's why for me, sending back that Bill Watterson original art was like both a tremendous act of kindness, but also like just pulling it from my cold dead hands. You know, I was like, oh,
you're like, I
this
guess
is
I
hard to let this go.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, but so I'm a huge fan of original art. It's fun to be able to cartoon and look around and be super inspired, you know?
Yeah.
And so I love that aspect of my studio.
Okay. If you had to pick a frame or a character from all of your work that you would love to see turned into a figure, or if it's a frame like a diorama, what would that be?
A 3D version of
like the
that is
pugs.
a great. So in my science fiction strip, there's a character named Nosh, who's a giant. He's probably 10 or 12 feet tall, and he's a voracious eater. And he crash landed. His backstory is he crash landed in Moscow and didn't have the cab fare to get off the planet. So his English is with a heavily Russian accent, and so he's this delightfully jolly, voracious eater
12
with a
foot tall.
12 foot tall with a Russian accent. And he's jolly, and everybody loves him. He's everybody's favorite character, and I would love to make him into a maquette or something.
Oh my god,
amazing to have him.
Nosh maquette.
Yeah, that'd be amazing to have him. I would love that. Anyway, yeah. So sorry.
Oh,
You got a genuine smile on my face
that's
thinking about
awesome.
that.
Now I'm gonna have to read all of this so I know all about Nosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, what is the most cherished piece of art that you own? I mean,
Oh wow.
which could be different.
Like this is a kind of a version of a question of like in a fire, which one thing do you grab?
What
right?
is the one thing you grab?
I don't know. My studio. I would be like the sad person running back into the fire, grabbing all the pieces, throwing them out the window, and trying to save them all. Yeah, my studio with all the original art on it is a super loved collection. And then all my original art I keep in fireproof safes out in my garage. So I have 2 hours in a fire, I know, to get those out. So I have to direct the firemen towards the garage to save those in the fireproof safe. So 20 years of comics though, big stack of paper. It's a big stack of paper.
And dry paper.
Yeah, and dry paper with a lot of combustible inks on it. Like that goes right in the fireproof safe. Yeah.
Yep, I imagine. Wow. What advice would you give to a talented but unmotivated artist?
Oh. That. Yeah.
Yeah. Stop it. Yeah, stop it. You draw right now.
You get to working. No, so a talented but unmotivated a cartoonist or artist. So my advice is, it's hard because we don't know each other. Over a coffee, we would have a much more intimate conversation. But you only get one chance at this life, and the time we have is short. And jump on it, because you have this gift, and you should use it and share it with the world, whether it's in a small way, a big way, a medium way. Put what you have out into the world, and the world will be better for it, and your life will be better for it. So that's my advice.
That was much better than ours.
Yeah, I was like, that's way better than ours.
Well, you can see why I like doing the podcast about making comics and how to make a living from comics, because Brad and I are both really passionate about talking about how hard it is to walk an artist's path, but how important and necessary it is for those that have that calling. And so that's why we do that podcast. And it's really fun to talk comics. It's called Comic Lab. And it's patreon.com/comiclab, and it's totally free to listen to. So that's that one.
Wow. Wow. I almost want to like end on that last question. Since
I feel like that was kind of a PBS like last like.
It was so.
All right,
and it was
kids.
so
Let's get. I didn't
genuine.
mean
It
to
was
have
so-
that too genuine.
But it was
Sorry.
so
if I-
great. And then I guess this is actually a really good one to follow that up. Is there a comic that got you interested in making cartoons?
Oh, that's a great one. So we all have our childhood loves. For me, the kind of trifecta when I was a kid was Calvin and Hobbes, Bloom County, and The Far Side. Those three were amazing to me. And I've gotten to meet and talk to and get swap art with two of those artists. And so that I feel very lucky as an adult that childhood me got to meet them.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, that was great.
Again, thank you so much for being on
Oh
the
my
show.
gosh.
This was such an
Thank you for having me.
awesome conversation. And thank you all for asking really amazing
Absolutely.
questions. Once again, where can they get these books?
Sheldonstore.com, and I will sign them all for this week for everybody. So,
Sheldonstore.com. And
yeah.
if you order them this week, Dave will sign them for you. That's amazing.
In there literally right now ordering them.
That's
oh, great.
That's good.
I have a lot of signing to do. I have set myself up for wrist problems later this week. That's
Oh,
great.
great.
That's it. That's a good
Awesome.
problem to have, though, as an
Yeah,
artist. so.
that's very cool. Again, Dave, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having me.
you all for watching. Be sure to tune in on Friday for our Hot Toys live show. Buffy is about to put the link in for next week's show. Be sure to click that bell, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to let your geek side show. Thank you guys. See you next time.